Hello everyone and welcome back. Today we're going to be looking at how you can get the most out of your chess games by analyzing them. Analyzing your chess games is really important as it allows you to identify and improve from your mistakes for the future. If you play games without analyzing, it's really hard to reflect on your problems and make adjustments for the next time. So let's learn how we can analyze our chess games. I will start by explaining the 3 simple steps that you can use for game analysis, and then we will go through an example game together using this guide. I will use one of my own games and one of my losses. Very importantly, I think it is most important to learn from the games that you are losing. Now, for many people, I know it is difficult to know where to start with analyzing games. How do you even make sense of what the engine is telling you? I will be using chess.com's game analysis tool to help me with this today, and I think it's very useful as it notates your moves with blunder, mistake, brilliant, great move, or so on. So it gives you some clue as to where the important moments are in your game. Now, the first step in game analysis is to identify key moments in the game. These will often be your blunders, mistakes, or missed wins, also seen as big changes in the evaluation bar. These can include tactical mistakes or missed tactical opportunities, or even positional decisions such as inaccurate pawn play. Start by briefly going through the moves of your game and identify the ones that significantly change the momentum or direction of the game. Next, once you've identified the key moments, the second step is to evaluate them. For each of these key moments, try and reflect on your thought process during the game. Why did you make the move in question? What do you think you could have missed here? Attempt to brainstorm without actually looking at the engine's best move to begin with. I think it's best to try and develop your logical reasoning, work out what you did wrong and how you can improve. Did you miss a tactic, fall into an opening trap, or make a positional mistake? Start by evaluating. After you have evaluated and reflected upon these moves, the final step is to learn from your mistakes. With the help of an engine or a master database, look at what a better move could have been. And make sure you ask yourself, why is this move better than what I played? Does it defend a tactic, or does it make an important improvement to your position? Or is there a tactic that's arising from this? Once you have done these with each of the key moments in the game, you will understand your game a lot better and hopefully have some information to take away for next time. Alright, now let's go into an example with a rapid game that I played. And first, we will start by looking for key moments. I will just flick through the moves. Here, you'll notice we're playing a lot of theory, so this is not so important in terms of analyzing here because we know this is just theoretical. We want to look at mistakes and big changes in the evaluation bar, as I said. So here, we finally move out of theory and I played the move bishop a5 here, and next my opponent plays bishop g5. Here, I play bishop e6, and you can see a question mark right next to it, which means it's a mistake. So this is one of the critical moments. Next, d5 by my opponent, and I have another mistake here with knight a5, so this is my second critical moment. Then bishop a2, h6, bishop h4, and queen c7 with another critical moment. And you'll notice here there is a big swing in the evaluation bar. My opponent now has a +3 position, and from here on, my opponent just starts to win material from a tactical standpoint. And now you'll notice that the game is just lost. While I played on for a few more moves here, it is not important to be analyzing parts of the game where you're playing on in a lost position for a long time, because the actual mistakes of the game came earlier in the game. Now that I've identified my 3 key moments for the game, let's evaluate them. Here, after bishop g5, I play bishop e6. I will first think about why I played this move. So my idea was that I wanted to target this pawn on d4. I considered that it was a weakness. It is what we call an isolated pawn, as it has no pawn neighbors in the middle of the board here. And I thought here, I can target d4. The reason why this move is wrong is because my knight on f6 is now under a lot of pressure by this bishop here, and my opponent could something like knight e4 to put pressure on this knight, and I can no longer bring any piece back to defend. And next they're threatening to take twice on f6, and I will have to open up my king and double my f-pawns, which looks really unsafe. So this is the reason why I evaluate bishop b6 to be a bad move. Instead of playing knight e4, my opponent plays d5. And this is also a good move that holds the advantage. Again, next critical moment, I play knight a5. And the reason why I played this was because I didn't want to take this pawn on d5 because I knew that if I took, they would take with the knight, and I felt like this was some simple trades for them, just resulting in a terrible pawn structure for me on the king side. So for example, takes, and again we have the problem that I cannot defend this knight with any more pieces here. So on the next move, they will be capturing twice on f6. So instead, I decided to play knight a5 to move the knight away from the attack of the d5 pawn and not have to take on d5, also attacking this bishop in the process. Now, why is this move, knight a5, bad? Firstly, it goes against positional principles, such as moving a knight to the rim of the board. They say a knight on the rim is dim, and you can see here that now this knight does not have many squares. And there's actually a tactical problem with this move as well, because now my opponent is threatening a move b4 and my knight has no squares that it can escape to. So this is a really bad place for my knight to be going. So this violates positional principles. A knight on the rim is grim, as they say, and this one is definitely not very happy over here. It's not controlling many squares, and what my opponent can do, as they did in the game, is just move the bishop, and now they're threatening to play a move b4, which actually traps the knight on this side of the board and it has nowhere to escape to. So I have even more problems than I had on the previous move after trying to escape from problems with knight a5. So instead, maybe I should have just captured this pawn on d5, and even though they could take back with the knight here and put a lot of pressure on my king, at least I would not be losing material. Final critical moment. After h6, bishop h4, I play queen c7. And this, I think, is the most important one to look at, because here, now the evaluation bar is saying it's a +3 advantage for white, and I am just lost here. Now, my idea behind queen c7 was a little bit convoluted. What I wanted was that I was scared about my knight getting trapped with the move b4, so I thought, okay, I'm going to give myself a square for my knight to go by playing queen c7. I move my queen away, and then maybe I can put my knight on c4 on the next move. But the problem is, after they play rook c1, they are then threatening to open up the c file by bringing a knight out to attack my queen, and then they will play b4, trapping my knight. So I am going to be losing material here one way or another. So instead of playing queen c7 here, I could perhaps just take this pawn on d5 again. And one important thing that you can notice about this move is that it actually frees up the c6 square for the knight in the future. And again, yes, the best move is to take on d5. And obviously I have a slightly worse position, but this is definitely a lot more playable than the position that I ended up with after rook c1. As you can see, rook c1 put a lot of pressure on all of my pieces, especially my queen and my knight here. And then they just played knight b5 here. And I was forced to give up some material with the bishop and the rook both attacking this knight. There was nowhere I could go to defend it. So now that we've evaluated the moves and the mistakes that we've made, let's finally look at what could have been better. I've already worked through this sort of ideologically, but let's also check with the engine and see what the engine suggests. After white plays bishop g5 here, the best move according to the engine is just to capture this knight on c3. The idea is that they're threatening to create a lot of pressure on the pin piece here by moving their knight over to e4. And since I really can't get a piece around to defend this f6 knight, I should just capture here and they no longer have a knight to put pressure on my pin piece with. There is also the option to play h6, and both ideas are to immediately deal with this bishop on g5 and the pin, which is causing a lot of problems for me here. So that is one improvement that I could have made in this game. Next, instead of knight a5, as I mentioned, just capturing on d5 is a better option. And after they take, I just play something like bishop e6 here. And this is quite a difficult move to play, but the idea is that you get some trades, you develop a bishop, and you're also pinning their knight to the bishop. Obviously, they can take over on f6 with check, but you can just capture back with the pawn, and now this bishop is under attack, and so is this bishop on g5. So it's definitely a lot more of an interesting game than we had before. After they take here, we can just capture back on e6, and the position is almost equal after we get all of these trades. Last move, instead of playing queen c7 here, I should have just captured on d5, as we were mentioning, and then after the knight captures here, we can throw in the move g5 as well. And this breaks off the pin, and if the bishop is moving back here, we can just trade off the knights, and suddenly this looks okay. Our knight can come back to c6 as well, and we have some more control over the center. Obviously, there's still a little bit of weaknesses, but again, the position now is almost equal again. One final additional step that you could include as well is to do puzzles based on your mistakes. For example, I'll be noticing that the theme of my mistakes here was that I was missing ideas with a pinned piece. So after this, I could go into chess.com's puzzle section, work on my tactics around pins in order to improve for next time. So there we go. This is how I like to analyze my games, and I think it's very efficient, very easy, and it allows you to take away a few key points from your games without getting too bogged down and trying to analyze every single move and feeling overwhelmed by it. So I hope this helped you, and I hope you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!